Okay, so cutting out windows for lighting. This is my way of doing it. I'm not saying that it is the correct way, but this is how I do it. So I thought I would put it out there just so you guys could see it, and you know, somebody might find this way useful. So we've got the secondary hull here of a Voyager, and we've got all these different individual windows that are here. Now we're going to be lighting this kit, and one of the things that we need to do is open up these windows. Now your end result will end up looking something like this. This is the primary saucer. You can see I've already put photo etch on this with all of these different openings already in it. Now for my particular build, this is the old monogram release where all of the windows didn't have the individual frames in them like they do on this secondary hull. See how that's got a little frame in between them? These did not, so I just had to cut these open, and then I'm having to put little frames in them so that they'll be individual windows, and I'm going to show you guys how I do that here in just a minute. But first I want to show you how I open them up. So we're going to put that aside. We're mostly done with that piece. And then we're going to take this, and we'll just do this one right here. Hopefully I can do this to where you guys can see it. So we're going to take this little pin vise, and I'm going to start by putting a hole. I'm probably not using the smallest bit that I could use for this. I think this is like a 0.75 millimeter drill bit, and I'm going to put a little hole there. Get this to the side, that way that I'm not getting all those crazy flashing and stuff going on. I'm not putting a whole lot of pressure on it either. You could do this with a Dremel. The problem I run into using a Dremel is that it melts the plastic. Okay, so now we got a little hole there, and we're going to expand that hole. Now on the saucer it was easier because the windows were taller, so you could put multiple holes in a row. However, we don't have that luxury here, so basically what we're gonna, I think we might be able to get another hole in there. Let's give that a shot. Let's just see. It doesn't hurt to try. There we go. We're getting some stuff there. This is really different modeling this way, trying to do this so that the camera can see it and still keep in mind that I have to put this together. Okay, so we've got two little holes there. So we're just going to take a nice brand new blade and just, usually what I do is I go for this little weak piece right here in the middle first. Just cut that out. Let's see here. Alright, so now I'm just going to kind of gradually work this down. And over to the side. I am not using a lot of pressure when I do this either. Okay, so let's look at our opening here. It's still kind of circular looking. Got the material sticking out at the back here. I'm just going to kind of drag the blade along that, take that excess material away. Alright, look it better. So, still need to come down some. Tricky part is trying to get it to look straight, not like an oval or a circle. That is what makes this tricky. Why couldn't they just made all these ships with round openings? So thank you, whoever built these studio models. Okay, I had to pull it away so that I could get a more accurate look at it, because I got to hold this thing really close when I do that. But as you can tell, we've got a kind of squarish opening. So we'll clean this up a little bit more, and then we would just do that for the whole thing. And then the next little part here, I'll show you how I am taking the saucer section and making the individual frames. So start that up. We've got all of these holes cut out here, and we're putting in these little pieces of styrene to make individual windows, so that when I put clear canopy, I don't know if I'm going to use canopy glue. I'm probably going to use crystal clear. When I put that stuff in, I'll have individual windows. And the first thing that I like to do, that I'm going to do, is get this chart away, is get my little cutting tool out here. I got this thing called the chopper, and I take some thin styrene strips here, just really thin stuff, and I cut it to various width, and we're going to do that real quick. Like that. So I'll make 5 or 6 of these at a time, and make them in different widths and start putting them in the ship. Now, if you get one of these little choppers, don't take it and go bam and slam down on it, because if you do, your little piece will fly off and then you'll never be able to find it. Just want to be nice and gentle with it. Okay, so now that we have cut out our little strips that we're going to use, the next thing to do is to find the openings to fit the strips in. Now, some of these openings are wider than others. Obviously, this one is only big enough for 1. This one is big enough for 2, and this one's big enough for 3. I do believe on the ship, the biggest one is 3, other than the ones that face the front, like these up here. So what we're going to do is basically stick these little strips, which I have one here attached to my tweezers, down in here, and glue them in place. Now, what I do after I get a strip is, I don't know about you guys, but I cannot cut all of my holes the exact same length and height. Okay, I can't do it. It's so tiny. So some are a little bit bigger than others, but to the naked eye, it doesn't look noticeable. So what I do is I take them and I just stick them down inside of the openings. So like, that's too big. I can't even fit it in there. That's way too small. It's too small. That's too small, actually, also. And what we're looking for is one that is not to where it'll fall through, but you don't want to have to jam it in there either. Okay. This one's the closest. I can almost get it in there. So what I'm going to do is just take got a fresh blade on my knife, and I'm just going to trim away. I mean, I'm barely putting any pressure on this at all. Barely trim away material. And test it again. Piece here. Try this again. See how this fits. Better. Look at that. Okay. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I like to take a little bit of this thin cement from Tamiya. You guys know this stuff, little green bottle, and I like to run it along the top and the bottom. Now, the stuff dries a little fast, so you got to work kind of quick. I mean, you ain't got to fly through it like you would if you're doing super glue. So we're just going to try to put this in there. There we go. And that is for sure. Okay, there we go. Let's see if I can straighten it out just a little bit more. Don't stick to my knife, thank you. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm going to let that cure like that, and then we'll be done with it. And then the next thing that I would do after I let it cure is gone in and done. After I let it cure, I trim it with my little plastic trimmers, and do the same thing on the back as well. And you've got to watch it, because like you see some of these are still in there. When you go to trim them, they'll move on you. So I think that's going to be. This one's still moving on. It doesn't like me. Okay. Well, that's pretty much how I do individual windows on a ship like this. Give it a shot. It's a little time consuming, but well, here's how the end results look.